Welcome back to DVC Weekly. This is episode 168. My name is Jason Rippleding. I'm the broker of Buy and Sell DVC. I'm here with Scott Ferrioli.
I'm the owner of DVC-Rental.com and BuyandSellDVC.com.
And today is April 24th, 2024. So your seventh month window is March 24th, 2025. And your seventh month window is November 24th, 2024. We're going to try and keep this episode a little bit shorter versus last week. And we're going to go right into the buy and sell side of things. And it is the pros and cons of buying DVC via the route of resale. So we're going to start with the cons. And the cons are, you don't get to build your own membership. Meaning, if you are new to DVC, you can always go to our website, BuyandSellDVC.com, go into the buyer section of the point calculator, and you can plug in different check-in and check-out dates, and it'll show you the point total for all the different resorts, all the different types of accommodations. So you say, oh, we normally, vacation this time of year. We want to stay at this resort in a one-bedroom. And it's going to show you, how many points. So let's say you end up and say, well, we need 176 points a year. Well, let's just, buy 200 because you can bank and things. So you should never have points expire. Well, when you buy resale, you can't build that membership. Meaning you say, I want exactly, 200 with a certain use year. When you go to look on the resale market, that exact listing may not exist at the time that you want to buy. You may have to wait for it, or you may have to, adjust your needs slightly. Maybe you buy a 210 or a 190, or you buy a different use year than the use year that you exactly want. Number two, it says, depending on the market at the time you are looking, you might need patience waiting for a resale listing close to your desire. So, and that's especially if you're already an owner and you're looking like, I just need 50 more points at Hilton Head. I need 50 more points at Beach Club. I need, 50 more points at the Grand Californian. Those types of listings are few and far between. So it's just, there's so many people that would, if they saw it, they would just buy it. But it takes a while for those listings to come in. And then when those do come in, those are the ones that, a lot of people are waiting for. So they're gone and you don't even get a chance to purchase it. And another con is you cannot put the whole purchase on a credit card. So if you buy directly from Disney and you buy, I don't think they have a limit. If you buy an $88,000 membership, you can just put that whole thing on a credit card. The closing company.
I was thinking the same thing before. It's like, is there a limit? I remember the issue with the guy from who had $100,000 plus contract he put on his the company credit card. So apparently you can put. Yeah, I don't know if there's a limit, but at least probably like $100,000 is perfectly fine.
And the closing company will let you put up to $7,500 on a credit card. And there's no fee to use that credit card, but that is the most they will allow on a credit card. Now, what are the pros of buying a resale? One is you save money versus direct from Disney. For example, Saratoga Springs direct price is $205 a point, and resale is averaging around $104 a point. The savings gap it's tremendous on the resale market, and that's the number one reason.
But just think about that: a 200-point contract, which is not a gigantic contract, that's $20,000 less. A 100-point contract is small. That's $10,000 less than Disney. That's huge.
And number two, you have more resort options via resale than direct. Meaning, if you want Alani, Vero, Hilton Head, you should be able to find those via resale. You're not. You really should never buy Vero or Hilton Head directly from Disney because you're just paying way more than you need to be paying. And there's some resorts that you're not. Disney is. Like if you went to Disney right now, they're going to try to sell you the cabins and Alani and Riviera, I believe, would be the three options. If you want something besides that, then it's going to be, let me talk to a manager, whatever the case may be. to see if they can sell you any
They
other
have to
property.
push the ones that they currently have for sale. So-
Right, which of course makes the most sense,
Yeah.
but it's just, that's one of the pros of buying resale. Another pro is the closing. I put this as a pro. I mean, it's not going to be as quick as if you buy directly from Disney, but the closings are quick and simple. I mean, you can close in 6 weeks and make a reservation within 2 to 3 weeks of closing. I mean, the closing companies that are involved with the transaction, they've been doing it for a year, and really everyone's goal is to become more efficient. It's like every single day, it's easier than it was, 5 years ago, and 5 years, of course, it was easier than it was 10 years ago, and it just keeps getting easier every year. And another pro is there's no pressure when you buy. You can get all the information, you can get all your questions answered, and you can make a decision when you feel is best for you, for how you vacation, and when you will use the membership. I mean, the only pressure is put on yourself, because if you fall in love with the listing, that listing, someone else could buy it. So, but you should be able to gather the information at the pace that you want to gather, and then make the decision, when you're ready to make that decision. So hopefully that was helpful for you. Pros and cons, any comments, and put them in the comment section. And now we're going to go on to the food review of the week.
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! Get in my belly!
So as I mentioned last week, we're going to be at California for a little while. What was really nice is that Disney right now has their Food and Wine Festival. Disneyland has their Food and Wine Festival going on, where ours starts towards the summer, goes through up to like November. They have food and wine going on at the moment. So lots of really good options. I will say that their food and wine is much smaller than what we have here. I'd say maybe they have half the amount of items that the Epcot Food and Wine Festival has. However, I found a lot more items I was interested in. Where like here, a lot of stuff could be like escargot, and they have stuff that different palettes, that a lot of times I'll look at these lists, I go, maybe, I actually would want to try 10% of the items, where they had a smaller list out in Disneyland, but I want to try half the items on there. So lots of really good stuff. So right now we're going to show you a picture of the chocolate Mickey-shaped macaron filled with caramel ganache and made with Snicker bar pieces for $7.75. This was at the Nuts and Cheese booth. This was the only item that my family went back and we got again. Everybody in my family absolutely loved this, and my youngest kept asking multiple times to keep getting them. So we got 2 of them, and he wanted to keep going back almost every day when we were in the parks to get this macaron. They're nice size. It's probably about the size, maybe a little bigger than baseball. It's almost as big as a softball. So it's a nice size macaron, similar to the ones that they have at the Boulangerie in Epcot in the France Pavilion. So it was great macaron taste and texture, large cream filling inside, Snickers. A little expensive at $7.75, but not bad at all. We gave this an 8.4, so this was really, really tasty.
Nice.
Yep.
Now we're on to the rental side of things. Remember, DVC-Rental. Remember the dash, save the dash.
So for this one, I have a little comparison I want to do with Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and I'm sure a lot of people won't agree with this, but I'm just compare the two, essentially the Magic Kingdoms. Our Magic Kingdom versus their Magic Kingdom. Disneyland, while similar to Walt Disney World, is very different. It's all very familiar, but just like small changes that throw you off a little bit. Like each land is kind of different, like the spoken wheel of Main Street. So you just have to get used to it. But they're very, very similar. There's a lot more sit-down restaurants at Walt Disney World. So the dining can be a little bit harder at Disneyland. I love the fact that they cram everything into the Disneyland park. So there's a lot more rides in the Disneyland park than there are in Magic Kingdom, here. So there's no large walk between rides. The queues are mostly outside, so be prepared that if it's hot or cold or rainy, you typically can't just run, when it starts raining in Florida, everyone just runs to a ride and they hide in the queues. In Disneyland, you can't do that because everything is outside and you're exposed. I have to say this, I absolutely love the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland. It's the same ride system as Dinosaur here, but it's much larger and much more well done. That's by far my absolute favorite ride there is the Indiana Jones ride. It is wonderful. Now, this also leads me to the issue with some of the rides, as Indiana Jones was probably down 3 to 4 times when we actually had passes for it. Every larger ride at the parks will go down multiple times per day. Whereas here, something might go down. It's like periodic. I mean, a lot of times you'll look and there's 4 big rides down, and I don't know what's going on, but it gets frustrating because a lot of times we had passes for these rides, and you walk across the park, and like as you get up there, they're just shutting it down. And that probably happened to us 6 times where we showed up at a ride as it was shutting down. And there was probably 10 other times during our stay that we said, let's check the app first just to make sure. And you pull up the app and you're like, ride's down. Crap, what do we do? So the same thing happened 2 years ago as well. So this was not like a fluke thing. Their rides go down a lot. I joked 2 years ago that I was bad luck, but it's just normal there that they break several times, like every single day.
What's going on here? Is they more engineered? What's going on?
I don't know what the deal is. It's not like you go, these rides were built in the '60s, so they've been around much longer. A lot of stuff is newer stuff, but they always go down. You sit there, you pull up the app, and you're like, gosh, everything is down right now. So it's just a pain. Like here, sometimes if bad weather, if there's lightning, you'll see a bunch of things go down just because they stop them because of the lightning. There, they just have technical difficulties. There was like 4 times I tried to get on Roger Rabbit's cart, spin, and it was down. We walked up and it was down. And once we were ready to leave, and it happened to open back up, so I was finally able to get on that stupid ride. But like everything is constantly down. I love that they have some of the same rides with different scenes in them. It's always fun to do some of the classics with a bit of a twist. Like Pirates of the Caribbean is absolutely really, really cool there. It's very, very similar to ours, but then they've got extra scenes, and it's fun to do. We don't do any of the identical rides. We figure there's really no purpose. When we go out there, we want to spend time doing the stuff that we can't do here. So what we all found, another thing that we found interesting, the last thing on here, and I don't upset people, were the guests at Disneyland. And we all noticed it. The guests at Disneyland walk right at you. And if you don't move out of the way, they'll just slam into you. We're locals. We go to the parks. It's not like, that you go, that happens everywhere. Here a lot of times people, they'll stop in the middle of the walkway and they'll look at something. You get a little annoyed by that, but the people at California, the majority are locals. So a lot of them are on their phones, and even when they're not on their phones, they literally, you just feel like they're walking at you, and you're like, what is going on? Normally, you see somebody, you kind of try to get out of the way, and I'm jumping out of the way, people, and they're just walking at you. They're like, I'm not moving. I'm going. It's just really, really odd. And we saw everybody in our, my whole family noticed it, that they're just people just walking at you and nobody's going to move over. So just a little difference with the clientele there as well. But again, had a really nice time. Very, very different. I'll definitely be going back to Disneyland.
What were the crowds like?
This was over our spring break. So the crowds weren't there. They were a little heavy. It's tough because when we left, I was seeing reports that the crowds in Florida were insane. I said, oh, good, we're going to Disneyland. There's less crowds there. We got to Disneyland, and the crowds were not too bad, but it was somewhat decently busy. But then I read, I was on Facebook, and somebody said, you know how they said yesterday the crowds were packed, and then they'd show Magic Kingdom, and there was nobody there that day. So I think they died here, but it was not bad. On average, most rides probably had a 25-minute wait or so. Some of the big ones, an hour. Indiana Jones a lot of times was an hour, but I mean, it was definitely manageable, and it was I'd say overall less crowded than here.
So Magic Kingdom is how many minutes from your house, roughly?
Magic
Kingdom
from my house?
Yeah.
You mean here?
Yeah. Unless you have another house in California.
I was just looking. It feels like to get to the parking lots, probably 8 minutes.
Okay, so let's just, in this fantasy world, let's just say Disneyland is also 8 minutes from your house. Disneyland is magically has the same weather that it has in California, 8 minutes from your house. It has the same crowd, same clientele, same everything, but it's just 8 minutes from your house. Which one would you visit more often if they were both 8 minutes from your house?
Probably Disneyland.
Disneyland?
There's more rides there, and I'm more used to the rides here. So I'm going. If I was able to get on Indiana Jones more often, and again they've got this similar but a little bit different Space Mountain, and very similar but a little different. Big Thunder Mountain. They don't have a Tron or anything, so they've got Rise of Resistance in their Disneyland, so you don't have to go over to Hollywood Studios for that. I'd go with Disneyland overall. There's a lot more stuff going on there, a lot more rides and everything. Again, if I'm comparing Walt Disney World versus Disneyland, I'll take Walt Disney World every time. But if it's, just the Disneyland, the two Magic Kingdoms versus each other, the Disneyland Magic Kingdom.
Nice. That's good to know.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably go back at some point. Probably not next year, maybe like a year after that or something like that.
2026?
Yeah, it's not something I feel like I have to do all the time.
And do you prefer going there spring break time or?
I don't know.
Last time you went to?
Last time I went was during
the
the summer. And what was good is, again, it was very similar weather.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went in like July 2 years ago. And again, you get up in the morning, like have breakfast and stuff, and 50 degrees out, highs, it was like mid 70s or so. So I'd say maybe I prefer this one a little bit. But I mean, the weather was very, very similar. And I don't think there was much raining last time. There's really not much raining.
Crowds are similar?
Crowds were pretty similar, I think. I'm trying to think. I think it was pretty similar.
Okay.
But yeah, it was
That's
very
good. I mean,
very
if you
nice
could
time.
duplicate a trip in March and July, and it's almost the same. That's pretty remarkable, really.
Especially
You
weather-wise.
can't do that in Florida,
No.
obviously.
And the weather in March and July is very different in Florida. But yeah, it was very, very nice trip. Weather was great. Everything was great. Had a very, very nice time.
Nice. That's fantastic. Leave some comments. Let us know. Have you been to, which one would you pick if you lived 8 minutes away from both? Which one are you going to? Let us know.
I'm just worried we get some locals from California now getting mad at me because I said that the people are just walking at me. But maybe you've seen it as well. But yeah, had a good time. Don't come at me too hard on this, please.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching.